Hey guys, this is Lee here. If you have any investments like stocks, bonds, a 401k, or mutual funds, or even Dogecoin, you're probably this year been in a house of pain. But there is one investment that has proven over time to outperform some of the even highest flyers, and of course, that's the Sunfish Sailboat. Do you remember companies like Kodak, Sears, Toys R Us, or even Enron? Yeah, I lost about a sunfish worth of money in the fraudulent company of Enron. So it's easy to see that the Sunfish has outperformed those companies. And I'm not talking about an Ilka, a Snark, or even a multi-million-dollar boat like an America's Cup boat. Our simple Sunfish is a great investment. And in this video, I'm going to go over why it's a great investment and how you can improve the value of your Sunfish with some simple little things that you can do. But before I get to the video, I'd like you to invest in that like button, give it a gentle tap so the fireworks come out of it. I really appreciate it. It helps spread the video out to more people like you who are interested in sailing and sunfish sailing. And when the more people are interested in sunfish sailing, there's more value to be gained in your sunfish. So here are the reasons why the Sunfish has been such a great investment over the time. The first thing is it's an extremely popular boat. It's been the most popular production boat in the history of sailing. It's been featured in Life magazine. I don't even think Life magazine exists anymore. There are hundreds of thousands of Sunfish sailboats made over the decades, and it's been around for over 50 years. So the popularity of the boat itself, it makes it a valuable asset. You can get used boats for a little bit of money or for even free, or you could buy a brand new Sunfish if that's what you want. Another thing that makes it a valuable commodity is that they're still actively raced. They're raced in several countries and almost all over the United States, and anywhere where you can find a body of water, you're bound to find a Sunfish sailboat. Another reason why the Sunfish Sailboat is a great investment is because of its simplicity. It's basically two lines, one to raise the sail called the halyard, and one to pull in the sail called the main sheet, and you're out sailing in about 10 minutes. It's also great for beginners. Many people have learned to sail on a Sunfish, but it's also really challenging to learn and sail well. And since the fleets and the racing fleets are big, it can appeal to world champions. Another great reason why the Sunfish Sailboat is a good sailboat to own and to invest in is because you could sail the sailboat for basically your whole life. You could start as young as single digits, 7, 8, 9 years old, depending on the wind conditions, and you could sail all the way up into your 90s. Since the Sunfish Sailboat has been so popular and continue to be popular, there's always a demand for new boats, used boats, parts, new and used, so that helps keep the Sunfish Sailboat valuable. So to keep the Sunfish valuable, learn to join some events. Go ahead and cruise the boat around, take it to the beach, sail in some races, join the Sunfish class, smash the like button, and just have a good time with the Sunfish. All these things help the Sunfish maintain their value and actually increase their value. So now that I went over a few things that make the Sunfish a really good investment, I'm going to go over 9 things that you can do pretty easily to increase the value of your Sunfish. Now, the first thing is kind of obvious, but a lot of people don't do it, especially if they just find a Sunfish in their garage or underneath some trees. To increase the value, just wash it. Wash it like a car, or use boat soap, or you could use detergent from your sink. Whatever it is, spray it down with some water, take a sponge, a soft brush, clean all the gook off of it, all the dirt that's been laying over it for the last 10 or 15 years, and you will see that the boat can really shine up just with a simple cleaning. That will increase the value of the Sunfish between 100% and 3,000%. The second thing you can do is open up the drain hole, and if there's any water in it, drain out the water. If you can, dry out the boat if there's water in there, but don't have water sloshing around with it, because a heavy boat is not as valuable as a lighter boat. But if you could dry it, that's even better. But I'm not even going into that because that's a little bit more complicated than what I'm going to be talking about today in this video. The third thing you can do is you could upgrade your lines. If you have old lines and they're kind of ratty looking, just buy a couple of lines. There's only 2 lines on a Sunfish. You can get a new main sheet, you can get a new halyard, make them nice and bright colors if you want to, but just by looking at new lines and a clean boat, you have definitely increased your value of the boat another 50%. The fourth thing you can do is if you have any wood parts, for instance, the dagger board or the rudder or the tiller, and they're kind of shabby looking, sand them down and apply a couple of coats of varnish. Once they dry, it's gonna look fantastic. And even if you're not good at it, you could just do it and it's guaranteed to make it look 300% better. The fifth thing you could do is pretty easy. Flip over the boat and see the bottom. If you have some gouges or some scratches, especially if they get dirt in them, make sure you clean them. If they're in the gel coat or it looks like paint, you could take some sandpaper and sand them down until it's finer and finer, and then you could wet sand it down to a 200 grit, 400 grit, 600 grit, and that's really fine, and you'll get a nice, smooth, good-looking boat. Now, after that, the sixth thing you can do if you really want to get fancy is to take some compound or some fiberglass restorer, and I'll leave some links down below for some of this information, and then you can make it shinier and bring out the original color or as close to original finish as you can, and then that is worth another 150%. Now, the sixth or seventh thing that you can do to increase the value of a boat is to replace your old sail clips. If your sail clips are kind of broken or they're missing, just invest in some sail clips. I'm going to leave a link down below, but there's white ones, clear ones, and there's multiple color ones. You could buy them from Sunfish Direct, and they have all these different colors. So if you're really into colors, go ahead and invest in those, and they'll make your boat at least another 25% in value. Now, I combined the fifth and eighth one together when I said get a new halyard and a new line. So the eighth or ninth one, depending on how you want to count it, is to buy a new sail. That's the biggest investment you can make in a Sunfish sailboat. You can get a brand new racing class legal sail, but if you wanted to go less expensive, there are racing practice sails, or if you want to get nice and colorful, there are also colored sails. I'm going to leave some links down below, but you can get them from places like the Dinghy Shop, Sunfish Direct, Vela Sails, and other Sunfish supply stores, and it'll really make your boat stand out really well. So if you do all these 9 things that I mentioned, then your boat will be so valuable that you'll probably get more money than what you paid for it. What tips and tricks that you use to increase the value of your boat? Let me know in the comment section down below. Now, some of you are thinking, but really, what are the numbers involved in buying a Sunfish? So a lot of people, including myself, when you're first looking at buying a Sunfish, are like, wow, that's a lot of money. And a brand new Sunfish can cost about $5,000. But let me go over a couple of numbers for you, and I'm going to break it down and show you how affordable a Sunfish sailboat can be. So for instance, let's say if a brand new Sunfish is $5,000 and you sail it for 4 years and you get tired of it, or you want to get a bigger boat, or you just want to stop sailing, that's okay. So if you sail it for 4 years and if you take care of it, you're probably going to have it in pretty good condition, and it's a 4-year-old boat. A 4-year-old boat, you could probably get close to $3,000 for it. If you minus the original cost from $3,000, you basically bought the boat for $2,000. Divide that $2,000 into 4 years, that means you use the boat for $500 a year. Now, if you just sail 1 time a week in the summer, we're looking at June, July, August, that's 12 times. Now, 500 divided by 12 times, that comes out to be $40 per time. That might sound like a lot, but in the grand scheme of things, that's not really a lot, because you can go rent a boat for 1 hour and it'll cost $50 or $60. So when you're owning it, and a lot of times you don't sail it for only 12 times. Look at it in this way. If you have kids or a grandchild and yourself, and you put them in sailing camp or sailing program, then at the very least, they're going to be sailing it every day for a minimum of 4 to 5 weeks. My program at Wet Pants Sailing Association, they have an 8-week program where they sail 5 days a week. So that's 40 times. So let's go for the least amount of times. So let's say if they sail only 5 weeks at 5 days a week, that's 25 times. Now, if you do the math again, 500 divided by 25 times, that could easily be done at a sailing camp, that gets to $20 each time they use that boat. Each time they go take lessons, each time they go to the beach, each time they cruise around with their friends. Now, $20 for each time, think about that. That is the cost of one lunch at Chipotle and a Starbucks coffee. I don't think you could trade that for the joy and the experience you get from sailing a Sunfish Sailboat. So think about that when you're looking at the whole investment as an investment. And these numbers are, I'm talking about a brand new Sunfish. But just say if you got a lightly used Sunfish, the one that someone sold at 4 years, and you're gonna get it at $3,000 or $2,500 if you get a little bit lucky. And let's say if you start out with a $2,500 Sunfish and you sail it for 4 years. Now here's the interesting thing. If you sail a boat, a Sunfish Sailboat for 4 years, and it's 4 years old, so you have an 8-year-old sailboat. If you have 8-year-old Sunfish, you could probably sell that for about $2,000 pretty easily. So now your $2,500 investment, and if you wanted to sell your boat at $2,000, you use that boat over 4 years for only $500. That's $125 a year to basically rent the boat. Now, if you take those numbers that I used before and divide them, you're looking at such a little piece of money per time out, I can't even do the math. But all I know is that when I went to my brother's down in Miami, we rented a cruddy little Frankenstein piece of Sunfish. I paid $50. We went out for an hour and a half to rent that boat. Using the used boat divided, it's a great investment. You're looking at pennies or a couple of bucks every time you use a boat. So basically, a $2,500 good used Sunfish is basically free. Seriously, it's basically free to use. Yes, it costs you a little bit of money, but you could sell it for almost what you got it for. And if you count what you use it at versus how much it costs to rent the boat, you're actually getting paid money to sail the Sunfish. Here's one thing that a lot of people don't think about. So I'm going to go into a deep dive into what a Sunfish investment can yield. And if you're watching this, listen closely because this is a game changer. When I started sailing when I was 27 years old, about 3 years ago, I started sailing at Wet Pants Sailing Association, and over the years, I've seen hundreds and hundreds of kids go through the program and dozens of adults go through the program. The Sunfish Sailboat is a really popular boat at the Wet Pants Sailing Association, and I've seen kids who start at 9, 10, 11, 12, and now they're adults. So I've seen a lot of progress from a lot of people who sailed and sailed Sunfish specifically. And I'll talk about one person specifically right now. Let's name him Dan. So Dan started sailing when his older brother and his dad was sailing, and he had a used Sunfish, which I think was basically given to him, and they put a couple $100 into it. So he started, I think he was like 11 or 12. By the time he got to 13 and 14 and 15, he started using his skills to teach Sunfish sailing and to teach sailing in general. As an early teenager, he was making between $12 and $15 an hour sitting in a sailboat teaching sailing. Now, as he got older and he went to college and he went to Maritime, it says in a big sign on Maritime College, the average graduate for Maritime makes over $90,000. So he's doing pretty good. And it all started basically with the influence of his brother, his parents, and that $200 Sunfish. Now, Dan is only one example. I know hundreds of kids who went through these programs. Some of them actually did go through the marine industry. So you have marine professionals, you have insurance people, professional sailors, pilots, ferry boat captains. Some became business owners. They started with a skill that they learned from the simple Sunfish. I speak to some of these people often, and they always mention how Sunfish sailing was such an important part of their development. It's not a $60,000 a year school. It's basically learning a skill, learning a socialization, the responsibilities of sailing and owning a boat and taking care of it, and just the joy of Sunfish sailing and getting out on the water and having the appreciation and gratitude of what they can experience that has led them to success later on in their life. So for a small investment in a Sunfish, the benefits can 2x, 10x, 100x, whatever it is, Sunfish sailing can be priceless. I'll see you on the water.